of Muritala Mohammed, who ruled with immediate effect. With the trial of the alleged killers of Burkina Faso Thomas Sankara under since October, we took a look at the destinies of 8 African presidents who were assassinated. In this first part of our series, we revisit approach death of Nigeria's former head of state, Muritala Mohammed. Muritala, one of the military rulers who led Nigeria through years of dictatorship, has his name engraved on some of Nigeria's most important infrastructure, including the international airport. He was in his early 20s when he joined the Nigerian army and exited as a slain military head of state at the age of 37. One of his significant moments as a military officer was after the January 1966 coup that hosted and led to the death of then Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa. Muritala was posted to the army headquarters in Lagos as a lieutenant colonel and appointed inspector of signals. The coup was seen as targeting the north, while Aguri Ronsin, an Igbo military officer who emerged as the head of state, was accused of favoring the Igbo ethnic group of the southeast and parts of south-south. A counter-coup was eventually carried out, this time targeting thousands of Igbo officers. Muritala was seen as a significant force in this coup, which paved the way for the emergency of Yakubu Gowon's regime, the one that led Nigeria into and out of the 1967 to 1970 civil war. In 1975, while attending the Organization of African Unity (OAU) summit in Uganda, Gowon was deposed and replaced by Muritala. Although he did not directly take part in the coup, Muritala was believed to have inspired and supported it. Muritala oversaw bloodshed, warned of one, and fell to all. In his inaugural speech as Nigeria head of state on 30th July 1975, a few years after he had led Nigerian troops in killing thousands of Igbos, also during the Asaba massacre, Muritala announced a number of measures, each accompanied by the phrase, "with immediate effect." He warned that Nigeria risks more chaos and bloodshed if things did not improve, and if the government still failed to fulfill the legitimate expectations of our people. In the endeavor to build a strong, united, and vibrant nation, Nigeria has shed much blood. The thought of further bloodshed, for whatsoever reasons, must be revolting to our people. The armed forces, having examined the situation, came to the conclusion that certain changes were inevitable. He said, little did he know that his blood would be shed in an abortive coup just 7 months into his regime. As Muritala government was gradually kicking off, Lagos, then capital of Nigeria, remained on the edge. It was the season of coups, and it didn't take long before another one occurred. February 13, 1973. Many Nigerians still remember this date because of the hundreds who witnessed his dark moments. On that day, like most, Muritala had left for Donda Barracks, the seat of government in Lagos that was still renovated following Gowon's ouster. Unknown to Muritala, he was never going to make it to barracks alive. He had left for work in his black Mercedes-Benz, and with Akintunde Akinteriwa, he sailed the camp, who sat at the back. Staff Sergeant Michael Otuwe, his orderly, and Sergeant Adamu Mishika, his driver. There was no escort vehicle. He used to drive along with just two people, giving himself away to any would be easy to assassinate. Emmanuel Waye, a prominent elder statesman in northern Nigeria, says, a low profile was supposed to shield the former #1 citizen from public eyes and possible attacks, but instead, it made him more vulnerable at Alagbon Junction in Lagos, about 5 minutes after the trio had left Muritala's residence in Ikoyi. A traffic warden stopped the cars in their direction. He had not seen the two flags in front of the former head of state's car because there had been 5 other cars ahead. As they waited for the green light, a red one came instead. Bullets rained on them, with the Benz at their only shield. A coup led by Lieutenant Colonel Buka Sunka Dimka was underway. As the orderly would recall in an interview, I saw some people in Agbada Bambaringa, and when they lifted them up, they brought out AK-47 rifles and fired at us. A masked man shot the driver, Sergeant Adamu Mishika, in the head, and he fell on the armrest where the suitcase containing the general's mufti was. I took cover and fell on the driver. The general and the ADC also took over. The soldiers and military officers who had ambushed him started to leave, thinking that they had killed Muritala. They were heading to the National Broadcasting Corporation to announce a successful takeover before the unexpected happened. Muritala hid the camp, not knowing that one of the driver's soldiers still had their eyes on the car, opened the door to help the former head of state. The soldiers noticed the movement and ran back to the scene. As Michika puts it, during the second round, they emptied their bullet in us. Michika survived the incident as he was shot in the arm and hip. He says it was at the mortuary that he recovered from a coma when the breeze from the air conditioner blew my way and the pain woke me up. Dimka was eventually arrested and executed, but why he was after Muritala? Why he says, Dimka and the others felt he was not doing well and had a bad government. Him, Dinka, preferred Gowon to remain the head of state and not General Muritala Mohammed. Dimka even went to the British High Commission and demanded that they bring Gowon back from the United Kingdom, where he had gone on exile, and have him stay in one of the West African countries, since it was Muritala who overthrew him, but the High Commissioner drove him out. Muritala's death was reminiscent of the ones the North had suffered during Nigerian first coup 10 years earlier, in January 1966. Third an Igbo coup and led by Major Kaduna Eziongu, it resulted in the high-profile deaths in northern Nigeria, creating a huge leadership vacuum. Among those killed were Tafawa Balewa, then Prime Minister of the Northern Region, Amadu Bello, and some of the region's highest-ranking officers. Some Islamic leaders were said to have accused Christians of plotting Muritala's removal from office because he was a Muslim. This narrative, YSS, was being pushed by Abubakar Mahmoud Ganu Gumi, a prominent Islamic scholar who had capitalized on the phrase "one bring you good tidings," which Dimka used to announce Muritala's death. He claimed that the former leader had been killed in a plot targeting Muslims in the country. Muritala's death also showed that violence has no place in government. Ahmad of northern-based Nigeria, who asked that why Muritala brought a glimmer of hope, he came by force and arms and left that way. Baba Ahmed, a holder of a doctorate degree from the University of Sussex in the 1980s, also condemned that there was a bigger problem after the military insisted on remaining in power following Muritala's death. According to Baba Ahmed, the people who killed Muritala killed a dream. The people who took over from Muritala killed the hope that the military could make such a step brief and final. We missed a chance to reap from the event itself the purpose for which he was killed. We didn't learn any lesson. For while the former head of state will be remembered for taking major decisions about the countries in just 6 months, winning some battles and losing some. Muritala was far from being a great leader, as his administration destroyed Nigerian civil service and brought untold sufferings to many, with the sacking of thousands of civilian servants, some of Nigeria's best minds without benefit. For Nwanze, this move was the worst. The immediate effect with which Muritala regimes often announced and implemented his policies and decisions was deficient and would ultimately have caused the problems for us in the medium to long term. says he was not a thoughtful person and he never expressed remorse or a desire to retrace his footsteps when he went wrong.